Welcome to part 3. Thank you for joining me again. Same place. Whew. Almost missed my chair. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to tune in here. This is the final session. I'm going to turn my heater off. Yes, I have a heater going. It's chilly where I'm at in Canada today. I'm about an hour north of Calgary, Alberta, for anyone who may be curious. So we are on part 3 of today's VIBRATHON. I want to thank you for those of you that have joined me. If you are here, hi Beth. Are you still here? Yes, this session is happening. There is a little bit of a delay. Someone commented separately after the first live. From the time that I say something or you may comment, there is anywhere from a 20-second, perhaps a 1-minute delay to things coming through on the other end. So please just be patient. If you are entering, this is the last session to qualify to be entered to win a Hexaplate Light, generously offered by Life Pro for today's event. And at the end of each session, I've already given away 2. Anyone commenting during this session will be entered for a draw to win a live virtual training session with me. You can be anywhere in the world for that. For the vibration plate giveaway, you need to be in Canada or the US. And just tell me what you would do with it if you won. Do you have a vibration plate now? I know many of you by name, and I know that many of you are users, but if you're watching me for the first time or we've never interacted live before, whether you're here learning about how to use your plate, whether you're here to learn about whether you should even be using a plate at all, I will be inviting questions towards the end. I recognize it's a little bit later, and there may be more of you available as this session continues. So if somebody, Beth, I know that you're there. I do see a number of others starting to tune in. If you can see and hear me okay on your end, please let me know. I had a few questions during the live. Where's that massage done? And where was that? So I'm going to start by dropping a link here. I don't think it's going to let me though, because I've got way too many comments. Okay, that's why. Today's advanced session, I will be wearing on my personal frame the new Flex Vest that has come out with Life Pro. This one is 15 this one is 15 pounds. There are 2 sizes. There is the ladies and the men's, and I'm going to just drop the link here so you guys can take a quick look at the sizing if you are interested in this. But this version is going to add an additional 15 pounds to what I'm about to perform on the vibration plate. With the Flex Vest, I showed both of these in the seated and the standing session. These are adjustable ankle and wrist weights that come with the Flex Vest. So you can use these on the wrists, you can use them on the feet. And what I love about weighted, it's been a week of weighted exercises. I should be firmer by Monday. But it's an easy way to add, additional, gains to the bone density, the muscle strength, the weight loss, whatever those goals may be. So, whether you are working out on a seated, standing, or the exercises we're about to do on an advanced basis, really varies depending on what you may personally be dealing with. So ensure that you have discussed with your doctor what's appropriate. A vibration plate is simply a tool that makes exercises more effective in less time. So you can reduce the amount of time on those arthritic knees, or you can, get the muscles to a level of fatigue much faster. For today's advanced session, I want you to be mindful For those of you that are active now and are joining me, technique is key. The better your positioning, your posture, the breathing, all those nuances, the more effective your benefits are going to be on the plate. But be realistic with where you're at in your conditioning. If you want, like, if you're building for endurance or longer things, maybe longer durations with mid effort levels. But if you just want to get her done and you want to burn some calories and you want to boost that metabolism, the amount of challenge that your position plays into can really, really push you to fatigue quite quickly on a vibration plate. So don't think that you need to do a big, long thing. The goal with those big body changes, the weight loss, the bone density, the dynamic power, the explosive strength, all those things are more about, appropriate exercises and exertion levels. So here is a link to the vest. And this is also anything I'm talking about today. I have a Life Pro and any of the products. Many of you have been asking me how you can support me simply by, watching my information, sharing it with others so that they, my goal. And when I started all this training 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of people that understood these machines. So, I vowed if I was ever in a position of speaking to the masses, this can be such a game changer, not just for the symptoms, but for the fitness, the advanced stuff we're about to get to. And advanced doesn't always mean, it's harder or it's more fitness. Advanced sometimes is just a level of understanding that there's more, that a vibration plate can certainly offer to both therapeutic and fitness applications, because it makes it for you, the user, more possible to get those muscles to a point of exertion where that old knee may not have allowed in the past. And, many of us are very busy and have short attention spans. So sometimes, like for me personally, I like when I'm in workout mode, if I'm doing an exercise session versus a wellness or a feel-good session, I like getting to fatigue fast. So the next routine we're going to work on for the advanced session is going to have a few different components in it. Range of motion is required for what we're doing in this next set. I just want to make sure everyone's coming through okay. And again, if you haven't already, if you're just joining me for the first session this evening, if you haven't made a comment already, please let me know why you should win a Hexaplate Lite. And for those of you that are joining me live for this last session, I will be drawing one last name for a free virtual training session with me. So make sure that you have made comment. And if you do have questions, if you're watching this later on a recorded basis, once YouTube has had a chance to process it, feel free to enter for the machine giveaway. You can make a comment on the recording up until tomorrow evening. Details are in the video description. But as far as the session giveaway, this is a live thing. This is only happening during the course of this live session. So if you have not already entered for the machine, make sure you make a comment. And for this one, comment. I'll be giving away another session, like I say, picking a name here at the end. So advanced in the form of, more challenging, what are we going to do on the plate? I am wearing, as I said, the new Flex Vest. I've added 15 pounds to everything else that I'm doing on the plate tonight. So in my standing exercises, we did some variations in the session earlier prior to this. I wanted to add a very functional fitness exercise today. Sometimes people hear me say that and what do you mean? Like, are you doing rehab or are you doing a workout? Bit of both, depending on where you're at. So for many of you, advanced could just be standing on the plate for the first time because you've never done it and it's really scary. But for most of you, advanced means, new moves, hard stuff. Debbie's going to be sweating by the end of this, and I probably will be. But you'll notice I'm sitting in a stool again. Well, didn't we already do the seated session? Well, a stool can also be an amazing fitness tool, especially when you're learning squats or when you're learning to first stand. One of the most functional things we do every day, all day, is stand up. Okay. So this exercise, the warm up, let's call it, is going to be a variation of what I call the sit to stand. A lot of my therapists and trainers will know this because this is an exercise that you do with many people in your program. So the sit to stand is something we do daily. And if you look like this, trying to get up out of your chair where it's all arms and you got all this shoulder and neck crap going on now, we want to get the legs stronger, strong enough to be able to support the simple function of you standing up. Adding a vibration plate to this in a physical therapy or a rehab facility is going to reduce the amount of reps that you have to do. So if you're doing this exercise on the floor, the knees, the ankles, the hips, all the joints that are part of that, A to B movement are part of the equation. But by adding the stimulus of the vibration, the resonance is causing our body to do more for the task. So more muscles are being elicited to respond to the slightly ever moving surface that you're standing upon. Because you're doing this in oscillating movement, it's going to give you the advantage of additional balance and stability. Not only is your muscles and your central nervous system, quite frankly, having to rely on, thinking about how to get you up out of this chair and sit you back down, it's having to keep you stable while you're doing the exercise. Plus, you're getting those perpetual benefits I always talk about, the boost in circulation, the lymph. For those of you that have got game, the balance is there and, you're having fun, but you want to pick it up a little bit. Close the eyes this time. So let's start sitting back down. We're going to close the eyes. We're going to focus breathing, and we're going to slowly stand up. If you feel comfortable, sit back down. Oh, I did it without falling on my ass, guys. What I do like about this exercise when I'm dealing with severe inflammation, new knees, people that are just beginning to bear weight, but not well, sometimes I'm only getting 1 rep, 2 reps at most before you're fatigued. So in that 1 repetition, I'm getting the most benefit I can because all those little micro movements are just adding to the equation, the stabilization, and you're recovering at the same time. So the pain, the inflammation, all those other things that you're dealing with as symptoms are getting a treatment while you're doing that functional exercise. So next progression on this one be, and I'm going to leave the chair in place, is doing this with, like we showed in the last session, simply by adding a little more mass. Now we've done that. I'm not going to take the vest on and off, but if you're comfortable and you feel stable, adding a weight vest to your standing exercises on the plate are going to make the muscles, the bones work harder. They do change the destabilization a little bit, especially in oscillating movement. That's one of the advantages. But what I'd like you to do is start working on the range of motion. So that would be the first progression. You're starting to do squats. Going a little deeper is going to make those quads, those glutes work a little harder. But we're going to leave the stool there because the stool is really nice. If you are dealing with fatigue or you've overcommitted, you can always sit back down. And maybe you just need to take a breather because I've been talking too damn long. But what I want you to do, for those of you that are joining me for the advanced portion, I want you to angle your feet just slightly so the heels are still about that midpoint, but we're angling out a little bit more natural, what you might do on the floor. Those feet angle out a little bit naturally. I want you focusing on a nice straight core. Put your hands on your hips. A little bit more challenging to put them out in front of you or cross them in front of you. That's another way to interact with gravity and change just your center of gravity and everything. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and go really low, hold still, touch the stool, come back up, hold 2, 3, come back down, keeping the weight on those heels, breathing, nice and slow, very controlled movements. If you're finding at any time you feel like you got to fight or resist the machine, you're probably wider than maybe you're comfortable for. So bring them just a half inch closer. Changes. You're a little less stable because your stance isn't as wide, but the movement isn't as tense. The pull on the muscles, the amount they're having to move to keep you stable isn't as far. Okay? Whew. I'm feeling that. We're going to add one variation because everybody wants to work the glutes. So we've kind of progressively moved forward in our sessions today. And in the past session, I talked about some pelvic tilts. Now, pelvic tilts I was using as a warm-up to get things loose and moving. So I'm assuming, if you followed along and you've done all these things, we're not going to do another warm-up. But what we're going to do is we're going to add that pelvic tilt and just amplify it. You're doing it without realizing, but we're not tilting forward. So right now, if I was thinking about a pelvic tilt, before I stand up, I'm positioned back. My back is arched. So when you stand up, you're in the back swing of that pelvic tilt. What I want you to do once you stand up, we're coming up to about a mid squat, is tilt that bum forward, hold, 2, 3, back out and down. Okay. So it's going to be stand up, tilt forward, hold, back, down. I'm going to do one more rep. Up, forward, back, down. Now, if you got game, just keep going. Double time it. Touch the stool. Up. To be great with the best music. Okay, so now, Debbie, I want some more arm movements. I need to work my core. Well, the more you add to that exercise, the more benefits you're going to accomplish. Let's make this a little bit more challenging. Okay, let me see what I got left. Right now, I got her set at 13. I'm going to drop her back to 11. I love that I can fit both my hands on this kettlebell handle. Not sure if I've mentioned that, and room to spare. So let's see how coordinated we are. We're going to stand. We're going to hold this out in front of us, just enough to keep it away from the body, to keep the out of the way of the movement of the legs. And we're going to hold it out in front of us for the tilt. So we're going to do that whole movement again, and we're just going to skim the surface of the stool. We're not going to sit down and take a rest. So hold this out. Hold it just maybe at chest level. We're going to stand up, tilt. Now, I've added 11 pounds. You're going to feel this in the low back, the shoulders, okay? My legs are a lot stronger than my low back and my shoulders. So if you're feeling over fatigued, or you're arching the back, feels like, you're kind of done, the quit point might be more the shoulders, the low back than the legs. So pay attention to those fatigue points. Now, I was talking earlier, there's no cardio. I'm huffing. Oh my goodness, I was saved by the bell. So, keep in mind, I've just done 2 other sessions. So, you are only limited by your imagination, your range of motion, and the accessories that you kind of have around the house. You don't necessarily need to invest in a bunch of equipment. Most of us have something kicking around, as I always say, even a bag of rice. But some of these new tools, if you are dealing with motor issues, neuropathy of the hands, you want to incorporate weights into or adding mass to some of your stuff. Some of these tools are as equally effective as an accessory on your vibration plate as they are on the floor. So I might need a little slip of coffee. And we're going to now move into some core exercises. Everybody wants to know how to tone and tighten the core. Thank you for everyone for still being here. I'm going to keep going. As I've said, if you are new to these sessions and you have not joined me previously and you like to enter the giveaway, be sure to make a comment. Tell me why you're here. What you would do with a vibration plate if you want it. At the end of this session, I will be drawing one winner for the virtual training session with me. You can be anywhere in the world to participate in that. For the machine giveaway, you must be a resident and taking delivery of in the US or in Canada. So if you haven't already commented, please make a comment in this video. If you're watching this on a recorded basis, you cannot win the virtual training session, but you can be entered for the machine giveaway by making a comment before tomorrow evening. I will be doing the draw on Monday. Okay, so a couple of tools that I had pulled out for the standing session. I'm going to get my stool out of the way. I'm going to keep my vest on. One of the things I do love, like I say, about the weight vest, particularly when we're getting into upper body, which is happening next. We're going to talk two things. We're going to talk about, I'm just going to get this out of here. We're going to be talking about upper body and how you can combine. Wait a minute. Oh man, it's a little heavier than it looks. So you can combine your upper body with some of your core work just by sort of understanding and breaking down your exercise like we've been doing in our standing positions into a couple of different components. So for the first thing that we're gonna do some core. So upper body, especially for my ladies, core can be things like planks. They can be things like crunches. They can be pelvic tilts. But when you're getting more direct on the plate with upper body positions, I want to make sure, especially for my ladies, we tend to be stronger in the legs and the quads. But it's when we get into the upper body, the push-ups, some of the core stuff where we may not have the endurance that we do in lower body exercises. So we're going to do some core specific, crunches, and then we're going to get into some push-ups, but that will also engage the core. But I just want your arms, if you are working on upper body exercises and you plan on doing plank work, this is just a tip I've learned over the years. Combine them into one exercise, which I'm going to show you how to do today, because that's how I prefer to do it. Or leave your push-ups till the bitter end, because you need some arms to do your planks. And if you kill yourself in a push-up, you're going to be angry because you won't have enough juice left for the planks. So there's two ways that you can do a crunch on a vibration plate. And I'm just going to turn the camera down a little bit. Okay. So in oscillating movement, when you're standing on the plate, we're facing it in this direction. And the best way to start learning how to do a crunch, if you haven't done them in a while or you're not doing crunches now, there's a couple ways that I like to break it down to understand how you're going to hit and target the entire 6-pack, 8-pack, whatever you like to call it. If you need padding, you have sensitivities, you bruise easily, you don't have a lot of padding, depending on the surface of your plate and your tolerance, you may want to put a mat on it, a piece of yoga mat, a little carpet, just to give you a little bit of cushion. I have padding, and I've been doing this a while, so I don't really tend to use a lot of mats unless I'm getting my knees or my elbows. So the first part of learning a crunch, and you can see my side profile in the mirror, is let's break this into two pieces. So we're going to start with the torso up. So we're going to just simply put our hands on our tummy or on our hips, whatever feels comfortable. And I'm going to lose my glasses. We're going to lean backwards. And you'll get to a point where you'll feel like the neck, you can see in the mirror, the neck has to bend if you want to go any lower. Think of that as your quit point. So if you have to bend your neck, you've gone too low. So just keep going till you can keep a nice, completely perfect line from that ear to that tailbone, and hold still. This is the first thing to learn about doing a plank on a vibration plate. It's very hard to talk and do this properly. So nice straight line, and you're really going to feel those abs from the belly button up holding you up. Now, with most women, this is the part we're worried about, the belly button and below. the apron, the pooch, the belly, the mummy tummy, whatever you want to call it. And then around the back, it's the tire. So that is part 2 of the move. So the part we just learned, straight spine, going back till our neck stops, but not bends. This is your quit point. So that's belly button up. To get belly button below, we need to incorporate the lower body. Now, when I'm doing core work, every session up until this point has been medium speed, closer displacement. But when we're doing core work, destabilization, balance and destabilization piece, this is our friend, especially in oscillating movement. And this is where using the movement itself, we can engage our core muscles in 2 ways. So I want you in a slow, choppy, wobbly speed or program. So I'm going to leave mine at like speed 5. 5 to 10 is where you want to be cruising. A slow, depending on your program, they're all different. But you want something you're going to feel when you're sitting just with your feet flat on the floor, your body's stabilizing this way, okay? So we're going to take that first part aside, targeting the legs. And the best way to learn this is just to get a feel for it first. If you have a poor low back or you prefer to break this exercise into 2 pieces versus incorporating them, I'm going to show you how to do that first right now. So the first part we learned was the straight back. You can keep your hands on your waist, incorporating with gravity. If we bring our hands up here, we're heavier. If we spread our arms out, we're wider. There's more gravity pressing down on us. So you can just focus on this one and breathe and sit up when you're done if you'd like, okay? Or perhaps some slow, really controlled dynamic movement. We're focusing on the breathing, good posture. We're going to come back just to that low point. We're going to come back up. When you want it, you'll feel your neck almost starts giving out when your body's done. The other way to target the rest of the abs in part 2 of the move, we're going to come back on our hands. Just put them behind the plate. So you can put them flat down just to give the upper body a little break and some stability while we learn part 2. So to get from below the belly button down, if you haven't already guessed it, you got to bring in those legs. So by just lifting those legs up a little bit, you feel it in that little belly, big belly, apron, whatever it is to you, you're going to feel those muscles engaged. Try and make sure even in this position, the spine is good. We're not all slouchy-gouchy, keeping a good little V position, okay? For those of you that got game or you're doing these kind of exercises now and you want Debbie to just hurry it up, of course, you can incorporate both. If you're dealing with a sensitive low back or you're just starting, these type of exercises, I do caution you to be conservative and work within your own parameters. Don't make it more difficult than you need to. So just start with some static moves. Get used to the stabilization before you add dynamic movement or additional mass to make it like more challenging. So, because I'm already huffing and I'm just wearing these 15 pounds extra. So this one's I always like to sort of come back and then I lift. So I'm holding my nice little V. My neck is nice and straight. My core is engaged. I'm going to make it a little bit harder by bringing my arms out. Okay. Oh, maybe I want to target that mummy tummy. Look in the mirror at my feet. By extending the legs, it makes it that much more challenging. Maybe we want to do some dynamic movement. Whatever type of crunches you're doing now on the floor, there's a bazillion crunches. There are a bazillion variations of these sits. Work within something that kind of, is in line with your level of conditioning, the type of exercises you know how to do. Don't take on more than you're ready for, not only in duration or number of reps or how often, but don't do something that you haven't built up to or necessarily may not be ready for. The last thing you want to do is overdo it on the low back. And the one thing I don't love about crunches, and I'll do planks all day long before I tend to get into crunches, is they do tend to be a little strenuous on the low back. So that's absolutely to a degree technique and breathing and other things. But if you are dealing with deficiencies, I don't want to put you, the worst thing you're going to do on a vibration plate is overdo it in the form of, what happens if you over exercise doing other things? You're sore, you're tired. And if you're dealing with chronic issues, sometimes we can't decipher the difference between, the chronic, regular, same old pain and the new workout exercise pain, because we just haven't gotten our muscles to that level of fatigue in a very long time. So the other variation that I just want to very briefly cover for crunches is because of oscillating and the directional, the direction of the waveform that you're feeling as it's sloshing you all over the plate, you can turn sideways. And I actually prefer using my plate this way for crunches. My bum just hit the speed. For those of you that are lacking, range of motion, you want to incorporate this exercise more regularly. If you don't have a step, it's a good way to make the starting position of the lower body a little less strenuous. You're not having to do that first lift. Okay, so this is a way that in my studio days, I used to modify, make it a little bit easier. So I would start coming back, holding, and then you just get to lift those feet off the step versus being on the ground. A lot of times this is where you're positioning and that goes down the tubes. So if you don't have a step, maybe you're resting them up on the circle, but you're starting on a surface the same height as the plate versus downhill. So it's a little less strenuous on that low back and that core. And, whether you're doing your this way, you feel the destabilization in a different way. Make sure your butt cheeks are right dead center. Whether you need to break this into 2 separate exercises, okay, you can also put your hands down on the ground. Right? It's just a good way to kind of learn how you feel it, where you feel it. And then before you combine the two, you've kind of got a good foundation on the 2 components of doing this, how you position the upper body and the lower body, if you're going to do crunches. And then from there, if you like doing your crunches and your basics are there, there's, like I said, there's a billion, you can do bicycles, maybe you're doing, you're only limited by your imagination, your range of motion, and the amount of Google searching you do. So the very last exercise I wanted to briefly get into, and I might do one more mean squat at the end, just as that final push. We're going to get into some upper body, some push-ups, and plank work. And when I say plank work, my push-up is my plank. I'm going to be very clear right now. I know many of you love doing your plank on your forearms, and that's just the way that I do it. But in my experience, even with like some pretty awesome yoga goddesses in my day, upper body on a vibration plate, there's a couple of tricks or tips I want to give you. And once you kind of understand how to control, again, the factors of amplitude, how wide we are with our hands in this case, and what kind of speed and just little nuances on your angles, I want to show you how to get about 95% of the head buzz out of the head. But as you know already, if you haven't been paying attention, I like combining things and I like being done quick. So if I'm going to be dying in a minute, it is going to be upper body, but I'm incorporating my plank work into my upper body. I don't like forearms on the machine. Amplitude, elbows are traditionally kind of wide. So unless you can bring your elbows closer to the center while you're on the plate, you're exposing the neck, the shoulders, and the head to a lot more movement than you probably would normally enjoy. Kind of like going on a full out jog as far as the impact goes. So try and be conservative in where that elbow positioning is. And if you're too large in the chest, or you find, it's just not for you, I suggest trying it my way. So my way, and we're going to start modified. Modified is simply on the knees. So even though I'm adding weight, again, I don't want to keep taking this on and off, but let's pretend I don't have the vest on. So if you've never used an oscillating movement, we're doing oscillating for everything today. Depending on your range of motion, I love using the Aeroflex step. I tee it up in front of the machine and you can sit on it. So you're not having to go all the way down to the ground. But this is the advanced session, so we'll talk about that in another class. So if you've never done upper body, I want you, before you get anything challenging going on, just see how it feels. Upper body, I tend to bring it back up to a faster speed. So I want you bringing your plate up to a mid-range again, maybe that 20, 30 range, depending on you. And with the hands, just like when you're standing, I want you to bring your hands closer to the center. So reduce the amount of intensity, okay? So let's get up on the knees. And by being on, a good 90-degree angle, we're not putting a whole lot of body weight into this. We're just getting a feel for it. So put the hands, not dead center, but, maybe you got 2 to 3 inches between the palms. Lesson number 2, besides amplitude, is angles. Shoulder, head. Right now, traditionally, if you're doing a push-up on the floor, you can see that my head is directly above my hand. Well, if I'm right above the movement, I'm getting the most movement. Push your body forward just slightly, and you'll feel the mass shift to the top of the shoulders. You'll feel those muscles engage. Okay, I want you positioning your hands below your shoulders and let your head just be slightly ahead of that. And what you're going to find is, it's not nearly as shaky on the head and the neck. Further back, more head movement. Further forward, less. So just kind of play with that. And if at any time you're feeling too much head buzz, you've probably compromised your position a little bit. The body's always looking for a way to make what you're doing easier. So it'll try to shift away or up or down. It'll do all kinds of things to try and make what you're doing easier. So hands are close. We're going to push elbows are slightly bent. And again, if you have sensitivities in the hands, and you want to put a mat down, that's completely fine. My shoulders are directly above my hands. And, like this is more, you're certainly getting some partial weight-bearing gains. But this feels great if you're just getting started. It's a good way to get more direct upper body lymph, some relaxation, some circulation. Maybe you're working on flexibility. Maybe you wore a bad bra all day. There's a million reasons that we've got pain and tension and, whatever you might do, like we did in the seated session. Maybe we roll our shoulders. Maybe we move our head side to side. All we're doing while we're moving is there's this resonance of the vibration traveling through us. And, you're just learning to direct it where you want some attention. Okay? So the progression between feel good and fitness is a very fine line. And the first easy progression, we're going to keep our hands in the same position. We're going to keep our shoulders positioned above our hands, but we're going to lengthen our body. So we're going to back our knees up, maybe 3 to 6 inches, depending on you. We're going to continue pushing our body forward. Get those shoulders above those hands. And with the core being longer, the core and the low back are now part of the equation. You're going to feel a lot more mass going into the upper body, the shoulders, and the chest. For those of you that are doing push-ups regularly now and are bored at this point and want more challenge, you do not need to ask my permission. Of course, you can move to the feet. But I want to ensure for those of you that are probably taking on more than you're ready for, before you move to this transition, I want you to understand where the hands are. I want you to understand where the shoulders are, because the head really rattles a lot more when you're incorporating full body mass. And for those of you that are doing these exercises now, if you're doing them properly and that core is nice and tight and straight, guess what? We're doing a plank, except we're on our hands instead of our forearms. And again, I'm not suggesting you can't do this, but there's just so much more intense movement, direct movement to the head. By coming up to the hand, you've got the elbow, the wrist, dampening a bit more. So you're getting your arms done at the same time as the abs and the glutes and all that. And if you're doing, dynamic planks now, maybe you're doing some mountain climbers, maybe you want to add dynamic movement. All of that is completely up to you and your own creativity. But the control is always in the amount of intensity and body weight that you decide to sign up for. So with your upper body, if you're dealing with a lot of tension, chronic issues, I got bad wrists, whatever it may be, maybe breaking this into multiple smaller reps, so you start with, 30 seconds, just loosening up and getting going. And, then you maybe make it a little bit harder, do that for 30 seconds. And then you kill yourself and have a final push, and then maybe you run and play. You get where I'm going with this. Lastly, the most talked about upper body part on the female body, the bat wings, the triceps. Debbie, can I do a tricep dip? I mean, you can. I don't like doing tricep dips. I have a really bad shoulder. I find it hard. I don't know. Maybe that's an excuse. You can do tricep dips, but is a tricep dip the only possible exercise to hit the bat wings? No. Most of the people I'm supporting with their chronic issues aren't doing tricep dips, and they ain't starting anytime soon. For those of you that want to, okay, sit your bum on it. Face away from it. Amplitude. Remember that lesson? If you're really wide, it's too much shake. So where I'd rather you start is on the floor and get your hands closer together than out on the edges of your hips. So bring the hands close together. I want you having a really nice straight core and spine. I want you keeping your elbows in a nice straight line. And I want you to just lift your bum up off the ground and hold still. If you want to move, that's entirely up to you. But I don't want to see you're all caving in at the shoulders and slouching. Good technique. And I find technique is better maintained in this if you are static. Now, this is probably one of those moves next to the push-up where, guess what? There's a lot of head vibe. So here's my hack solution. And I've been doing it for years. Get back to our basic push-up. And I'm not going to go through all the hard stuff. But just by tweaking and tuning the angle of our arms, we can very effectively hit the triceps without even having to change our position. So we were doing a push-up. Those hands are below the shoulders. From this position, just take your elbow and draw it in towards your ribs. So you're going from looking like this to draw. Oh, I'm at the wrong angle. No. Might be the best. So instead of being out here, we're bringing those elbows in and tucking them upside the ribs. So this is supporting our mass. And try this on your knees, please, long before ever trying it on your toes. So we're going to push in. We're going to draw those elbows in. We're going to hold 2, 3. If you're dealing with anything bad, arthritic, inflamed, any of that, less movement is better. For those of you that have got game, you want more challenge, hold that position, lock it in, raise to the toes. Hold 2, 3. Please make sure that you're breathing. But I think you'll find just by changing the angle, you're going to get a lot more effect. You're going to last longer in the exercise. And so many of you are dealing with neck and shoulder and spine issues. Sometimes the range of motion just isn't there to reduce the amplitude to a tolerable point. So tricep dip tends to be more shaky on the head just because of the nature of the exercise, but also because you tend to have wider hands on it. It's just the way it goes. So that's the end of the mean stuff for now. I'm not going to, because I'm getting pooped out, but if you would like to have, one mean final push, my favorite way to kind of just wrap it up, especially, if you want to be huffing and puffing, if you are boosting, that weight loss, the bone density, that kind of stuff, is doing one more squat with my extra weight. Oh, I can't do 22 pounds. I'd be overcommitting. So on this one, there's a bazillion names. People call it sumo squat, king's pose. Okay. I call it Debbie's mean deep squat with weight. So I'm going to bring my speed up again to that mid-range. I'm going to be around 25. I'm going to stand a little bit wider with my positioning. My heels are just outside of hip width apart. My feet are slightly angled. I'm going to raise this up to my chest, but the variation on this last squat, instead of the weight going down, we're going to try pushing out at the low point in our squat, and I'll see what I got left in my legs. No laughing, please. So we're going to squat, out, back, up, and keep moving. Squat, back. Be very cautious not to put your low back under more strain than it's ready for. Maybe you want more triceps, biceps, however you want to do this variation. Maybe you want to do some twists. Down, up, down, up. Maybe you want to do more functional stuff. Maybe we're shifting one side. Do something at the end that challenges you. If again, the goal is endurance and you're pushing for longer term in your exercises, take a bit of the intensity out. There's lots of ways you can push to broke. But again, I find for most, if you're just beginning your fitness journey using a vibration plate, you absolutely should consider just keeping it simple. 1, 2, 3 very basic exercises with a couple of variations that you can do well and be consistent at. Sometimes you get yourself a big program going on and it's just overwhelming. It's so much work, and you find laundry or dinner or other things to distract you. So even if all you can push off is one really mean squat, I think the real amorphous or the real change that comes to the body is not how long you did it, what setting you did it at. It's just for you personally getting those muscles to a point of fatigue, and you have to quit. So now I'm at that point, and I want to show you. It's not really. I mean, is it advanced? Sort of, kind of. Sitting on the plate, especially if you're working with a larger Rumblex or commercial grade vibration plate. The size of a machine is often driven by the features that it has. So the machines with different motors and movements tend to be larger because they have to house more components. The little compact machines, they tend to have singular movement, a couple different features or functions, but they're more portable, or there's something that you can take with you. So there's never the perfect machine for every application. A lot of it is just knowing really what your goals in use look like. What are you planning on doing on it, and where you're starting at. Sometimes where you're starting and where you progress are very different things. And I know a lot of people invest in what you have to start, even if it's used or nominally expensive. But if I've been in this 20 years. I've never stuck with anything like this in my life. So every machine has its pros, its cons, but the moves are very much universal. I just want you to experiment with the settings on your machine, and know that there is no definitive list of what this benefit can be accomplished at or where. Common sense needs to come back to the building. This is just a device that makes those exercise positions, those stretches, easier and more effective in less time. Added bonus, massage. So this is a direct massage position. If you've never sat down on your vibration plate before, you don't know what you're missing. And I guess why I left this one till the last move of the series or the last move of this session is it does require range of motion to get down on the ground. Now, I have many in my group that have been super creative. I have had people put these at the top of the stairs and walk up to it. I've had people place them on furniture. So, you know, what you decide to do to sit down on your vibration plate is entirely up to you, but just make sure that you're putting yourself, you're not putting yourself in harm's way. You know, it's never the getting down on the ground. It's always the getting back up that's a little bit more challenging. So sitting on a plate is just a great lazy way to, you know, again, move that lymph circulation. If you do a lot of training and the lower legs have been involved, leg day, anyone? Right now, I'm specifically targeting the hamstrings. There, you can massage anywhere below the waist on a vibration plate. You can get your arms on there. You know, it really boils down to tolerance and just making sure that it's appropriate. You know, no different than a massage gun. Are you dealing with conditions where, you know, not necessarily you can or cannot use, but maybe you need to modify your approach in how you use. So some of you may want padding, depending on the surface of your plate. But when you're sitting on a vibration plate, just like when you're standing, if your feet are closer, you're moving less. If you want more intensity, widen up the legs and you're moving much, much more. The reason I wanted to show this one, this is a great kind of, you know, on its own. You know, maybe you've got low back issues or hip issues. Maybe there was a gal that just had a plate in her ankle that was messaging me this week, and she's got range of motion and she's got good upper body strength, but she can't stand on her plate right now. But this is something that she can do. And, you know, while you're sitting here, if you're dealing with incontinence, constipation, I deal with a lot of that in my pediatric groups. Add some Kegels. There's absolutely nothing wrong with adding that to the equation. If you want a little bit more upper body directly while you're seated on the plate, raise the legs, take your hands, palms down, and just tuck them right under that butt cheek at the top of the thigh. Your arms, in most cases, are longer than your torso, so you should have a slight bend at your sides. If it's too much head buzz, just lean forward slightly. There's absolutely no harm in the upper body than you resisting and fighting it and making it worse than it really is. So just relax and try getting used to it. You know, sit straight up and then tilt the head forward. Stretch the neck. Again, I'm just directing the resonance, the movement that's going through my body, that waveform up into those upper areas. Maybe I'm doing some shoulder rolls. Okay. For those of you that have troublesome wrists, this is a nice starting point alternative to that push-up we were doing earlier, which if you're not doing those type of things now, they can be a little hard on the wrist. To get a little bit more game as far as strength, this is a good one for the upper body. You can simply, keeping those elbows slightly bent, resist the plate and sort of like push into it a little bit, and you'll feel the amount of intensity in those arms as they bear more mass ramp up. If you're really feeling comfortable, try just slightly. It's brutal on the head and the neck, but just lift your bum right off the edge of the plate. Hold, 2, 3, relax. And just making those arms bear more weight is a great way to get deeper into the strength and the shoulders and that. But, you know, it's hard to kind of collapse the shoulders when you're sitting this way. I don't know why it works that way. And it feels really good. This is also really awesome if you have neuropathy or anything to do with the hands. You know, they're all gimped up because they've been crippled for years. By sitting on them, you get extra body weight into them where you're unable to maybe facilitate that push up, you know, something more functional just by sitting on them. I can't tell you back in the day how many of my seniors I got back into knitting and crocheting and just doing all kinds of things because that dexterity returned. And a lot of them weren't necessarily coming for a big workout. It was something simple like this after they'd been at someplace else or they'd been downtown for a coffee. So a lot of improvement in the upper body in a seated position. And again, that last one is kind of like dessert for the night, but it does require some range of motion for you to get down on the ground. If it's easy to overdo it when you're doing direct massage. I recommend starting out maybe 1-2 minutes per body part. Don't do 10 to 15 minutes first time out. It's a huge rush of direct circulation. And a lot of times you start getting a little bit lightheaded. So is oxygenation in your system. And then you stand up and you wonder why you're a little bit lightheaded. So just stay seated for a little bit if you've gone more than a couple minutes. And if you're sore the next day, if you're lethargic, if you've had any ill effects and you want to get mad at your vibration plate, get mad at yourself because you've overdone it in some way. No different than when you over-exercised at the gym or at the work thing. The worst you're going to do is over-exercise yourself. But if you haven't gotten your muscles to a level of fatigue in a long time, don't discredit how much action the vibration plate is actually subjecting your body to in a good way. But it's very, very easy to overdo it and overdo it meaning going further than you should, because it is just so much kinder on the body than other activities. Okay. So this is kind of everybody's last chance. If you are joining me live, I'm going to, my daughter is submitting names, and we're going to draw one here very, very soon for a live trade or a virtual training session with me. Anyone that has joined this evening's or this session and made comment will be entered for that giveaway. If you haven't already, and some of you are probably sick of hearing this, if you are here for the vibration plate giveaway, the Hexaplate Life generously provided by the amazing people at Life Pro, please make sure that you enter a comment in the comments right now, or make a comment in any one of the 3 recordings. They'll take probably the rest of the evening to process, but you should see those the recordings available later this evening. Go in and make a comment on the recording if you're watching it on a recorded basis, and just let me know why you think you should win the vibration plate and what you'd use it for. I'm always curious to hear it. Let me know if you're using one now. So if you haven't had a chance to comment and interact with me as of yet, I please invite you to do so. I do provide a lot of free content. I am asking, just like an old school telethon, I am asking for donations. If you are able to support me in this way, I really, truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. If you are unable to support me in the form of a donation, never worry. There's a reason. I still want you to benefit. I want you to have a positive experience. You can still find links using my product links, sharing my videos, and just sharing my messages with others that may be struggling with, how do I use this darn thing? We all get excited and caught up in the buying of the machine, but it's when it lands in your living room and reality hits that you got to use it now. Sometimes that's when things become a little bit more challenging. So for today's advanced session, for those of you that do exercise regularly, try anything that you enjoy doing now. A lot of times with vibration plates, it's like exercise. I want it to be something that you enjoy. Sometimes my clients will use it to target deficiencies. Maybe you take yoga, but there's a couple of positions that you'd really just like to improve your form, your technique on. Your flexibility, whatever it may be. So a vibration plate can also be a great way to target certain things, deficiencies that you're trying to improve. It can be your whole workout. It really depends what you do on it, regardless of what the long-term goals are. For symptom management, use it regularly. Let the symptoms dictate when you need a fix, and a couple 3 minutes as needed to improve balance, stability, just give you that surge of energy, circulation, and lymphatic movement. Those perpetual benefits are ever present. So don't discount how far a couple minutes can go. If fitness are the goals, be realistic, mid to long term. Make sure you're putting something into your body that's going to support the activities nutritionally. The sleep is there, the recovery is there, and don't overdo it. You can't make up for 10 years of not doing it by killing yourself 3 nights in a row for an hour on your vibration plate. And incorporate other tools. Variety is the spice of life. We have a really short attention span. We're getting into fall, so incorporate that sauna. Use your stationary bike. Go for a walk with your dog. There's all kinds of ways that you can incorporate other activities with the short, effective nature of your vibration plate to get more benefit with less time commitment and less effort. And just add it to the other things that you're doing. A couple 3 minutes here and there adds up really, really quick. Okay, so I am cutting off. I'm going to go through and see if there's any new questions. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun. I think I want to do these more regularly, but maybe more topic specific. So maybe this week it's about lymphatic movement, and maybe next week we're talking specifically about bone density or things like that, or maybe it's conditions that you have questions about. A vibration plate is simply a kind activity. It is a movement that actually makes movement for many possible, where perhaps the body is incapable of transporting itself to more traditional things. So it's never a yes or no with me. It's always a depends, and there's always a way to modify what you do on your plate to gain some benefit, regardless of whether you're mobile or not. Okay, so let's skip fast. I know Beth is here. Hello again, Marcel. I was on the plate last 2 sessions and got the intense itching and in one leg. An itchy, anything. Being itchy or tingly is not uncommon as blood and circulation gets going. If it's severe, it could be a sign of, MCAS or other things where, overactivity or intense activity can cause kind of your body pre-releases histamine. It's a response that you have with this condition. So be conscious. If you are dealing with MCAS or you're just super sensitive, reduce intensity. So bring the feet close. The itchiness, the pins and the needles, a little bit of detox as things get moving, usually dissipates within a week or 2 for most people. If you take a big break and haven't used your plate in a really, really, really long time and you use it again, that itchiness sometimes returns. It can also return if you're exposing maybe a new body part, especially with some of the massage. So I've seen a lot of people use it for standing in a long time, and then they get down, the range of motion's improved, and they're sitting on the plate, and all of a sudden the arms are like crazy itchy. They haven't been in direct contact, and it's a more intense stimulus when you get those body parts more direct, more volume. And it's, sometimes it's nerves. If you have been dealing with neuropathy, you've got scar tissue, nerve damage. As those systems improve, that itchiness is communication. That's the nerves talking. So the messages are improving. Who else do I have? Hello, Martha. Nice to see you. The vest is cool. My other one is way worn out, and the Velcro's not even holding anymore. It's almost like life read my mind. I have Beth again. Are you still using oscillation? Yeah, always oscillation in my sessions, just because there's a little bit more you can control. There's a few more nuances, and more people are using oscillating, and it's more widely preferred and available. So it just talks to the masses more. But any of the moves I do are equally, you can do them in lateral, you can do them in pulsation, vertical. Just understand your settings and how to manipulate them in each movement type. Beth has broke both bones in one leg. I'm much better, but trying to protect myself. If you're not quite weight bearing, there's still a lot to be said about that, increased circulation, expediting healing and recovery, and plus the other leg's doing all the darn work. So hopefully that first seated session, it'll be available once processed for viewing on the recording. There's always a way to use the plate, but just, work within your own parameters, even if it's just, putting the one good leg on it, sitting beside it with a stool, just to get a little circulation and recovery going on the side that's doing all the work for all that compensation. Be inventive and message me if you have any questions. A&M Fraser, love the new weighted vest. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm enjoying it. I am so pooped, you guys. I've added a lot of weight. Gigi says, hello, this is my first time watching your channel. I've been using a vibration plate for the last 5 or 6 years, and I love it. I use it about 3 to 4 times a week. Good for you. I love it. Years ago, it used to be like, what is that? And I spent all this time explaining, and now I don't want to explain anymore. I don't want to talk science. So much of it is not relevant, and it just complicates it. This is just movement and a different couple of ways it moves. And the sooner you get curious and start playing with it and follow my guidelines, the more you're going to start having fun and feeling better. Carol says, thanks for this series. I appreciate you, the info you share. Thank you for investing time. I know you're investing some time with me. Someone's investing. If you're donating, thank you very much. That keeps me going with my free content and my homeschooling and my life in my little training workshop basement. It is very much a passion. As many of you may not know, I was up for a knee replacement in 30, and I was told I was fat and old, and I got into these and I haven't looked back since. And now I support, there's not many people in the medical world that haven't spent time with me. So if I can be one of the world experts, you guys can learn this too. And the fear, the resistance, if it is there, you're only going to get past that if you rip the tape off and get it out of the box. If you've got one sitting there right now in your living room and you haven't opened it, you know who I'm talking to. And for those of you watching this on a recorded or later on basis, it's not going to do any good unless you start using it. So I will post all of the sessions. I'll do a recap. I'm going to call comments now. I will not be accepting any new comments as of right now for the session giveaway. Thank you, Deandra. Sorry, I know you've been very patient. But I will accept more contributions to the machine giveaway. So get your comments coming in, whether that's this evening or on a recorded basis. Make sure you get your comments in on any of the sessions I've done this evening. Gracias. I'm forgetting how to say you're welcome. I'm thinking about it in German, though. Bitte schön. And merci in French. Thank you guys for joining me and supporting my channel. Please share this far and wide if you know someone using a vibration plate. My goal in life is to make it a more positive experience. There is never one way to use it. There's never one set of contraindications because there's never one you. It's very much a personal, very individual experience. And the more you play and navigate through the settings and just exercise your own curiosity, the more you're going to figure out what, your 2-3 moves for your feel good stuff and your 2-3 moves for your fitness. And I'm here to fill in the blanks and hopefully translate some of the rest. So whether you're a home user, you're a medical user, you're a facility, I really do hope to get better messaging out there. There is no one way to use a vibration plate. And anyone who tells you differently or just tries to offer you a single number or a single program, you know what? They're trying to sell you something. And, so am I to a degree, but I want you to make an informed decision. I want you to be happy with your purchase, and I want you to improve and progress with it. I do not want to be the next thing that didn't work out for you. So good luck with your vibration plate training. For those of you considering machines, considering a second machine, I will drop some links later on in the session. Okay. And for those of you that have joined me for this session, I did announce, if you didn't stick around till the bitter end of the last sessions, please know that I did name the winners, and the winners, I'm almost running out of voice, including for this one that I'm about to draw. Please ensure that you send me a direct message so I can get some information. Email me at vibehealer@gmail.com if you can't message me through YouTube. But I would prefer just drop me a message through YouTube. We'll explain some information, how we can book a time. If you are the winner and you do not own a machine right now, that's okay. We can certainly connect and just talk. I'm sure that you have some questions that you'd like answered that are maybe delaying your decision now that you know that it's so great. And perhaps you just want to wait. Maybe you're deciding and you're getting on a cruise for the next 2 weeks and you just want to wait till you're back. There is no expiry on this. If you win a virtual training session with me, I will honor it anytime, any plate, never to worry. So thank you so much. My daughter Deandra has done the draw on old school piece of papers in a fishbowl upstairs. And I would like to thank Beth. I'm going to say her name wrong. Beth Kearney. You have won the virtual training session with me for this last advanced session. Please send me a message. Thank you. I'm going to type your name. Thank you, Deandra. My baby. who has been shaking with me since she was in the womb. You are the winner of the session with Deb. So thank you for doing that. I do offer personal coaching calls. I can do that on Zoom. I can do that on all kinds of virtual tools. There's many out there. If you need some help, I do offer business consultations as well. I'm very excited, starting to get goosebumps. I will be doing the draw once everything has wrapped up. Allow me just a bit of time on each of the videos. I think YouTube takes a bit of time to process. But as I said, you have until, I've got the details in the comments, but make sure if you are seeing this live or now on a recorded basis, you are welcome to make a comment if you are in Canada or the US to be entered to win the Hexaplate Light generously provided by Life Pro. Thank you very much, Beth, for joining. I'm thank you for all of my winners. I look forward to spending a little bit more time intimately with you. And I will, like I say, just make sure that you send me a message through YouTube or email me, vibehealer@gmail.com, and I'll get some details on and out to you on how to arrange that session. Any of you that are in the US, if you're looking at Life Pro, I talked about a gun earlier. This new rotating head massage gun that's just going to be an absolute game changer for those of you dealing with lymphatic or sensitivity issues. And it's way affordable. It's 33% off right now. With my code Debbie20, it's a total of 53% off. I've also put a link in for the Flex Vest. I have not put in the link for the Power Stone, but that's also on a smoking deal right now on Life Pro in the US. I also recommend Life Pro if you're in Amazon. In Canada, there's lots of products available, the UK, some through Germany. There is no one brand everywhere in the world, but from a home perspective, I absolutely recommend Life Pro for a couple of reasons. Variety of products, the quality of them, but there's very few companies out there in my 20 years that have said, you know what? We want our consumers to have access to better education and support using their vibration plates. So when those words were expressed to me about 5 years ago out of Joel's mouth, I was just so pleased. Like, you know, they're there after the sale, guys. So, you know, where possible, I do recommend Life Pro, whether you're paying a premium or not. Lifetime warranty, register your products, and you get access to myself, other trainers. I also do support medical grade vibration plates if you are looking at research, but I do caution those of you, if you are considering higher performing, higher G force machines, to be absolutely cognizant. You have to know what you're doing. Work with someone who is qualified, whether that's the manufacturer themselves or a qualified trainer. When you're dealing with higher force levels, you're dealing with stimulating different things, including the central nervous system in the body. So I don't want anyone having any ill effects. Make sure that if you are considering anything over home grade equipment, that you absolutely exercise caution and seek experienced guidance in using those devices, whether you're buying them new or used. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. This has been absolutely fantastic. If you would like to contribute and support me in the form of a donation, use my links, use my code. It all contributes to keeping me here and providing content to you. I've overstayed my welcome in this last session. I want to thank each of you so much for spending your Sunday evening with me. Some of you Monday morning, if you're joining me from the good land of down under, the UK or in New Zealand. Thank you so much. Your support means everything, and it keeps the passion, the fire burning. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys, and don't work too hard. I look forward to seeing you soon. Let me know what you thought about doing lives on YouTube.